$3 billion shoe companies walked into a room. They all wanted the same woman. And what Caitlin Clark told them, it's going to change how you see her forever. Look, forget everything you think you know about athlete endorsement deals. Forget the polished press releases. Forget the corporate speak. Because on New Year's Eve, while you were probably counting down to midnight, Caitlin Clark dropped a bombshell on the New Heights podcast that had sneakerheads, basketball fans, and marketing executives all choking on their champagne. And no, this isn't just about shoes. This is about power. This is about legacy. This is about a 22-year-old woman sitting across from Travis and Jason Kelce, looking them dead in the eyes, and explaining exactly why she made Nike wait. Yeah, you heard that right. She made Nike wait. The biggest sports brand on the planet. The house that Michael Jordan built. The company that turned LeBron into a billionaire. They came to Caitlin Clark, and she didn't just sign on the dotted line. She made them earn it. Now, before we get into the jaw-dropping details of what she revealed, and trust me, some of this is going to blow your mind, let me set the stage. Because this New Heights appearance wasn't random. This wasn't some throwaway podcast hit. This was strategic. This was calculated. And this might be the most important media appearance of Caitlin Clark's young professional career. Think about it. Travis Kelce isn't just an NFL superstar. He's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. And we all know Caitlin Clark is a massive Swiftie. We all know she bleeds Kansas City Chiefs red. So when she walks into that studio, sits down with the Kelce brothers, and starts spilling secrets about her Nike deal, that's not coincidence. That's chess. And the internet knew it. Within hours of the episode dropping, clips were going viral. Twitter was on fire. Instagram was exploding. YouTube creators, myself included, were scrambling to break down every single word she said. Because Caitlin Clark didn't just talk about picking Nike. She talked about rejecting Adidas. She talked about turning down Under Armour. She talked about the moment she knew in her gut that Nike was the only choice, even though they were slower. Even though they made her wait longer than everyone else. Even though fans have been screaming from the rooftops about everything Nike has done wrong with her brand so far. And let's be real, Nike has dropped the ball. Where's her official logo? Where's the marketing blitz? Where's the signature shoe that should have been on shelves the second she stepped into the WNBA? These are legitimate questions. These are valid criticisms. And Caitlin Clark is fully aware of all of them. But here's where it gets interesting. She doesn't care. Not the way you think. See, what Caitlin revealed on New Heights shows us something about her mentality that most people miss. This isn't a woman who makes decisions based on speed. She's not chasing the quick cash. She's not desperate for validation. She's playing a long game. A very long game. And that game started way before you think it did. It started in her senior year at Iowa. It started in closed-door meetings with executives who flew in from across the country just to pitch her. It started with 3 global companies laying out their best offers, their biggest promises, their most ambitious visions. Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, 3 titans, 1 choice. And when Jason Kelce asked her about the process, when he leaned in and asked how it all works, when does it start, what's it really like, Caitlin didn't give some generic answer. She didn't deflect. She didn't play corporate. She went deep. She talked about sitting in those meetings. She talked about weighing the offers. She talked about how some companies were willing to get her a signature shoe faster. How some were promising quicker turnarounds. How some were basically begging her to sign. But Nike told her the truth. We're slower, but we're the best. And that right there is what sealed the deal. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking about Nike's involvement with China. You're thinking about the controversies. You're thinking about LeBron and the NBA and all the baggage that comes with aligning yourself with a brand that has made some seriously questionable decisions on the global stage. And look, those are fair points. I'm not here to tell you Nike is perfect. They're not. No company is. And Caitlin Clark stepping into that partnership means she's stepping into all of that too. But here's what I think most people are missing. Caitlin Clark isn't naive. She knows exactly what she's doing. And what she said next on that podcast, it explains everything. Every kid dreams of being a Nike athlete. That's what Caitlin Clark said, word for word. And when she said it, something in the room shifted. You could feel it. Travis Kelce leaned back. Jason's eyebrows went up, because this wasn't just a throwaway comment. This was a confession. See, most athletes talk about their shoe deals like business transactions. They mention the money. They mention the exposure. They mention the marketing support and the design teams and the global reach. But Caitlin, she went somewhere else entirely. She went back to being a kid. She talked about growing up in Iowa, about watching basketball, about seeing her heroes lace up those iconic swooshes, and thinking, someday, that's going to be me. She talked about the posters on her wall, the commercials that gave her chills, the moments that made her believe that greatness wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. And Nike was always part of that dream. Always. Now here's where this gets really interesting. Because when you're a kid dreaming about being a Nike athlete, you're not thinking about corporate controversies. You're not thinking about manufacturing practices or geopolitical tensions. You're thinking about Michael Jordan. You're thinking about Kobe. You're thinking about Serena Williams walking onto center court looking like a warrior goddess. You're thinking about legacy. And that's exactly what Caitlin Clark is chasing. But, and this is crucial, she's not chasing it blindly. When she sat down with those three companies, she didn't just listen to their pitches. She asked questions, hard questions. She wanted to know exactly what they were offering, exactly how long things would take, exactly what she could expect and when. Adidas came in hot. They were ready to move fast. They had designs. They had timelines. They were basically saying, sign today and we'll have you in signature shoes before your first WNBA game. Under Armour, similar energy. They saw the opportunity. They saw the wave building. They wanted to ride it before anyone else could. But Nike came in with something different. They came in with patience. And that might sound crazy. In a world where everything moves at lightning speed, where viral moments have a shelf life of 48 hours, where brands are desperate to capitalize on momentum before it fades, Nike walked into that room and basically said, we're not going to rush this. They told Caitlin that building something great takes time. They told her that their process is longer because their standards are higher. They told her that when her signature shoe finally drops, it won't just be a shoe, it'll be a statement. And Caitlin, she believed them. But here's the thing, and this is what makes her different from so many young athletes. She didn't just take their word for it. She did her homework. She looked at the history. She looked at how Nike has treated their signature athletes over the decades. She looked at the legacy. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, KD. The list goes on. And yeah, not every Nike athlete has had a perfect experience. There have been missteps. There have been controversies. There have been deals that didn't work out. But at the end of the day, when you look at the Mount Rushmore of athlete endorsements, Nike carved every single face. Caitlin Clark wants to be on that mountain, and she's willing to wait for it. Now, let's talk about what she revealed regarding the actual design process, because this is where sneakerheads need to pay attention. This is where the conversation got technical, and this is where you really start to understand just how involved Caitlin has been. She didn't just sign a deal and hand over creative control. She's in the room. She's making decisions. She's tweaking designs, giving feedback, pushing back when something doesn't feel right. She talked about how the process started at the end of her senior year at Iowa, before she even played a single WNBA game, before Caitlin Clark fever hit its peak, before the world truly understood what was coming. Nike was already building, and so was she. They were working on colorways. They were working on materials. They were working on the technology that would go into the shoe, the cushioning, the support, the weight distribution. Every detail mattered. And Caitlin was there for all of it. She mentioned that it's been one of the coolest experiences of her life. And when she said it, you could hear the genuine excitement in her voice. This wasn't corporate speak. This wasn't a rehearsed answer. This was a young woman living out a childhood dream in real time. But here's where the conversation took a turn. Because Jason Kelce, being the curious guy he is, asked the question everyone's been dying to know. When's it dropping? And Caitlin's answer? It sent shockwaves through the sneaker community. She said the shoe is expected to drop around the start of the WNBA season. She said everything is on track. She said the wait is almost over. But then she added something that made everyone pause. Provided there is a WNBA season. Wait, what? Provided there is a WNBA season? What does that mean? Is something happening behind the scenes that we don't know about? Is there a labor dispute brewing? Are there negotiations that could delay the season? Caitlin didn't elaborate. She just moved on. But that comment, that one little comment, it's been echoing across the internet ever since. And what's really going on with the WNBA right now might be even bigger than any shoe deal. Let's talk about that WNBA comment. Because Caitlin Clark doesn't say things by accident. This is a woman who has been media trained since she was lighting up high school gyms in Iowa. This is someone who understands that every word she says will be dissected, analyzed, and replayed millions of times. She knows the game. So when she casually dropped, provided there's a WNBA season, she knew exactly what she was doing. And here's what most people don't realize. The WNBA is at a crossroads right now, a massive one. The current collective bargaining agreement is under intense scrutiny. Players have been vocal, louder than ever, about wanting a bigger piece of the pie. And can you blame them? The league just signed a massive media rights deal. Viewership is through the roof. Merchandise sales are exploding. And who's responsible for most of that growth? You already know. Caitlin Clark single-handedly moved the needle for the entire league. Her games broke viewership records. Her jersey outsold every other player, male or female, across all professional basketball. She brought eyeballs to a league that had been fighting for attention for decades. And now, the players want to be compensated fairly. But here's where it gets complicated. The league and the players' union are in negotiations. And while nothing has been officially announced, whispers have been circulating for months. There's tension. There's frustration. There's a very real possibility that if an agreement isn't reached, the 2025 season could be delayed. Or worse, it might not happen at all. Now, imagine being Caitlin Clark in that situation. You've got the biggest shoe deal in WNBA history waiting to launch. You've got Nike preparing a marketing blitz that could rival anything they've ever done. You've got a signature shoe sitting in warehouses, ready to hit shelves. And then, no season, no games, no platform to showcase the product. It would be catastrophic, not just for Caitlin, not just for Nike, but for the entire league. Because let's be honest, if the WNBA fumbles this moment, if they can't figure out how to capitalize on the biggest star they've ever had, what does that say about their future? But here's what I think Caitlin knows that most people don't. She has leverage, massive leverage. Think about it. If you're the WNBA, your entire growth strategy right now revolves around one player. Your TV ratings spike when she plays. Your arena attendance doubles when she's in town. Your social media engagement goes through the roof every time her name is mentioned. You cannot afford to lose her. And Caitlin Clark knows it. So when she drops that comment on New Heights, provided there's a WNBA season, she's not just being casual. She's sending a message. She's reminding everyone that the stakes are high. She's letting the league know that the whole world is watching. And maybe, just maybe, she's applying a little pressure. Because that's what smart players do. Now, let's circle back to Nike. Because the shoe deal and the WNBA situation are more connected than you might think. See, Nike didn't just invest in Caitlin Clark. They invested in the WNBA. When you sign a player to a signature shoe deal, you're betting on their visibility. You're betting on their platform. You're betting on their ability to stay in the spotlight and drive consumer interest. If the WNBA season gets delayed, Nike loses. If games get canceled, Nike loses. If Caitlin Clark isn't on national television every week dominating opponents, Nike's entire investment is at risk. So believe me when I tell you, Nike is paying very close attention to these CBA negotiations. And they're probably making phone calls. Lots of phone calls. Because this isn't just about one player anymore. This is about the future of women's basketball as a commercial enterprise. This is about proving that the WNBA can be a sustainable, profitable league. This is about showing the world that female athletes deserve the same opportunities, the same deals, the same spotlight as their male counterparts. And Caitlin Clark is at the center of all of it. Now, back on the podcast, something else happened that most people missed. Travis Kelce asked Caitlin about the design of her signature shoe. He asked about the details. He asked about what makes it special. And Caitlin's answer revealed something fascinating about her personality. She didn't talk about colors. She didn't talk about style. She talked about performance. She talked about wanting a shoe that could handle the way she plays. The quick cuts, the sudden stops, the explosive movements that define her game. She talked about working with Nike's designers to make sure every element of the shoe serves a purpose. This isn't a fashion statement for her. This is a tool. And that mentality, that focus on function over flash, it tells you everything you need to know about who Caitlin Clark really is. But then Jason asked a follow-up question. A question that caught Caitlin off guard. A question that made her pause for the first time in the entire interview. And her answer? It might be the most revealing thing she said all night. Do you ever feel like it's too much? That's what Jason Kelce asked her. Simple question. 7 words. But the weight behind it was immense. Because Jason wasn't asking about basketball. He wasn't asking about Nike or shoe deals or media appearances. He was asking about the thing nobody wants to talk about. The pressure. The relentless, suffocating, never-ending pressures of being Caitlin Clark. And for a moment, just a brief moment, you could see something flicker across her face. Something vulnerable. Something human. Something that reminded you that behind all the records and the endorsements and the highlight reels, there's a 22-year-old woman carrying the weight of an entire sport on her shoulders. She paused, took a breath, and then she answered, sometimes. That's all she said at first. Just one word. But it hung in the air like a confession. Because Caitlin Clark doesn't show weakness. She doesn't complain. She doesn't make excuses. She just puts her head down and works. But in that moment, the mask slipped. She went on to explain what it's really like. The constant attention. The endless scrutiny. The fact that she can't go anywhere without being recognized. The reality that every single thing she does, on the court and off, is analyzed, criticized, and debated by millions of people. I didn't ask for any of this, she said. And that hit different, because she's right. She didn't ask for this. She just wanted to play basketball. She just wanted to compete. She just wanted to be great at the thing she loves. But greatness comes with a price. And Caitlin Clark is paying it every single day. Travis jumped in at this point. And what he said showed exactly why he was the right person to have this conversation with her. Because Travis Kelce understands pressure. He understands what it's like to live under a microscope. He understands what happens when your personal life becomes public property. You learn to compartmentalize, he told her. You have to. Caitlin nodded. And then she said something that I think everyone needs to hear. The court is my escape. Think about that for a second. For most athletes, the court is where the pressure is highest. It's where the cameras are pointed. It's where millions of people are watching and judging and waiting for you to fail. But for Caitlin, it's the opposite. The court is the one place where everything else fades away. The noise, the expectations, the endless demands on her time and energy. When she's between those lines, dribbling the ball, reading the defense, making decisions in fractions a second, that's when she feels most like herself. That's when she feels free. And that mentality, that ability to flip the script and turn pressure into peace, that's what makes her special. That's what separates her from everyone else. Now, here's something that didn't get a lot of attention from this interview, but it's important because it reveals a lot about Caitlin's character. At one point, Jason asked her about the criticism she's received. And look, we all know Caitlin has faced more hate than almost any athlete in recent memory. She's been attacked for her playing style. She's been attacked for her personality. She's been attacked for her race, her background, her success. Some players in her own league have taken shots at her. Media members have questioned whether she deserves the attention. Social media trolls have said things that would make most people want to quit. But Caitlyn, she doesn't engage. She doesn't fire back. She doesn't even acknowledge it. And when Jason asked her how she deals with it, her answer was incredibly mature for someone her age. I can't control what people say. I can only control what I do. That's it. That's her entire philosophy in one sentence. She went on to explain that she learned early in her career to tune out the noise. She learned that responding to criticism only amplifies it. She learned that the best revenge isn't a clever tweet or a fiery press conference. It's winning. It's dominating. It's being so undeniably great that the critics have nothing left to say. And that's exactly what she's done. Look at her rookie season. Look at the record she broke. Look at the way she transformed the Indiana Fever from an afterthought into must-see television. Look at the impact she had on attendance, viewership, and merchandise sales across the entire league. The critics are still talking. But Caitlyn, she's too busy making history to listen. Now, at this point in the podcast, the conversation shifted to something lighter, something that made the whole internet collectively lose its mind. Taylor Swift. Yeah, we're going there. Because Travis Kelce couldn't resist. He had to ask. And what Caitlyn said about meeting Taylor Swift, about their conversations, about what Taylor told her behind closed doors. It's the kind of stuff that fan fiction is made of, but this was real. And Caitlyn's face lit up in a way we rarely see. She talked about the first time she met Taylor. She talked about how nervous she was. She talked about how Taylor walked up to her, looked her dead in the eyes, and said something that Caitlyn will never forget. Something that changed how she sees herself. Something powerful. And what Taylor said to her, you're not going to believe it. You're going to change the world. Don't let anyone shrink you. That's what Taylor Swift said to Caitlin Clark. 12 words, delivered privately, away from the cameras, away from the noise. Just two women at the top of their respective fields, sharing a moment that neither of them expected. And when Caitlyn repeated those words on New Heights, the internet exploded. Because this wasn't just celebrity small talk. This wasn't a polite exchange between famous people at some event. This was Taylor Swift, the most successful artist of her generation, recognizing something in Caitlin Clark, something kindred, something familiar. See, Taylor knows what it's like to be hated for being successful. She knows what it's like to have people root against you simply because you're winning. She knows what it's like to be criticized for your personality, your choices, your very existence in a space that some people think you don't deserve to occupy. And she saw all of that in Caitlyn. The parallels are almost eerie when you think about it. Both of them dominate male-driven industries. Both of them broke records that people said would never be broken. Both of them faced backlash that seemed wildly disproportionate to anything they actually did wrong. And both of them, they just kept going. Travis was grinning ear to ear when Caitlyn told this story. Because of course he was. His girlfriend and one of the biggest athletes in the world bonding over the shared experiences? That's the kind of crossover that makes the internet melt. But here's what I found most interesting about this moment. Caitlyn didn't just talk about meeting Taylor. She talked about what happened after. She talked about how that conversation stuck with her. How she replays those words in her head when things get hard. How she's learned to recognize when people are trying to shrink her, and how she actively resists it. Don't let anyone shrink you. That phrase has become her mantra, and you can see it in everything she does. When critics say she gets too much attention, she doesn't apologize for being popular. When opponents try to physically intimidate her on the court, she doesn't back down. When media members question whether she belongs in the same conversation as the greats, she answers with her game. She refuses to be small. She refuses to be quiet. She refuses to make herself less so that other people feel more comfortable. And that energy, that unapologetic, unshakable confidence, it comes from moments like the one she shared with Taylor Swift. Now, the Kelce brothers want to dig deeper because they're genuinely curious people. That's what makes New Heights such a great podcast. They don't just ask surface-level questions. They go places. And Jason asked Caitlyn something that caught everyone off guard. What scares you? Not what challenges you. Not what motivates you. not what excites you about the future, what scares you. And Caitlin's answer was surprisingly honest, wasting it. She explained what she meant. She talked about knowing that this moment, this window of opportunity, won't last forever. She talked about understanding that she has a chance to do something meaningful, something lasting, something that goes beyond basketball. And she's terrified of not maximizing it. Think about that for a second. Most 22-year-olds are worried about what they're doing this weekend. They're thinking about their social lives, their Netflix queue, their next vacation. And there's nothing wrong with that. But Caitlin Clark? She's worried about legacy. She's worried about impact. She's worried about looking back in 20 years and wondering if she did everything she could have done. That level of self-awareness is rare at any age. At 22, it's almost unheard of, and it explains so much about why she is the way she is. The relentless work ethic, the constant improvement, the refusal to rest on her accomplishments, the way she's always looking for the next challenge, the next mountain, the next record to break. She's racing against time, not because she thinks she's running out of it, but because she understands how precious it is. Now, here's where the podcast took an unexpected turn. Travis started talking about the NFL, about the grind of professional sports, about what it takes to sustain success at the highest level year after year after year, and he gave Caitlin some advice. Advice that came from experience. Advice that came from watching teammates flame out. Advice that came from nearly a decade of playing in the most physically and mentally demanding league in the world. Protect your joy, he told her. He explained that the thing that kills most athletes isn't the physical toll. It's not the injuries or the aging body or the declining skills. It's losing the love for the game. It's waking up one day and realizing that basketball feels like a job instead of calling. When you lose the joy, you lose everything. Caitlin listened intently, and you could tell this landed because for all her confidence, for all her success, Caitlin Clark is still figuring things out. She's still learning how to navigate this world. She's still trying to balance the demands of superstardom with the simple pleasure of playing a game she's loved since she was a kid. And hearing it from someone like Travis Kelce, someone who's been through the wars, someone who's come out the other side still loving what he does. That meant something. But then Jason brought up something that neither Travis nor Caitlin expected. He brought up the haters. Not the random trolls on Twitter. Not the jealous fans of other teams. The haters inside the WNBA. The players who've taken shots at her. The veterans who've seemed resentful of her success. The whispers in the shade and the moments that have made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Jason looked at Caitlin and asked a question that everyone's been dying to hear answered. What do you really think about the way some WNBA players have treated you? And what Caitlin said next, it's going to change the entire narrative. Caitlin didn't flinch. She didn't dodge. She didn't deflect. She didn't give some carefully rehearsed PR answer designed to offend nobody and say nothing. She looked at Jason Kelce and told the truth. I understand it. Wait, what? She understand it? The cheap shots? The hard fouls? The eye rolls in interviews? The not-so-subtle comments about her getting too much attention? The veterans who seem determined to make her rookie season as difficult as possible? She understands all of that? Before you start typing angry comments, let me explain. Because what Caitlin said next completely reframed the entire conversation about her relationship with the WNBA. These women have been fighting for decades, she said. They've been grinding, sacrificing, playing in front of empty arenas, making less money than they deserve, getting almost no media coverage. And then I show up, and suddenly everyone's paying attention. She paused. I'd probably be frustrated too. And just like that, Caitlin Clark did something that almost no athlete in her position would do. She showed empathy. She put herself in their shoes. She acknowledged the reality that the women who came before her paved the road she's now walking on. She recognized that her success, in some ways, highlights a lack of recognition that previous generations received, and she didn't hold it against them. Now, let me be clear. Caitlin wasn't excusing bad behavior. She wasn't saying that the cheap shots were okay or that the negativity was justified. She made it clear that she expects to be treated with the same respect she shows everyone else. But she also refused to play the victim. "I'm not going to sit here and complain about how hard I have it," she said. "I make more money than most of those women ever did. I get more attention than any of them got in their primes. That's not lost on me." Travis was nodding along, because he gets it. He's been in similar situations, being the face of a franchise, dealing with teammates who might resent the spotlight, navigating the politics of professional sports. But Jason pushed further. "Does it hurt, though, when it's players in your own league?" And this is where Caitlin's answer got really interesting. "It used to," she admitted. "When I first got to the league, I wanted everyone to like me. I wanted to fit in. I thought if I just put my head down and worked hard, eventually people would accept me." She shook her head, but that's not how it works. She explained that she's learned a hard truth about fame and success. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to root for you. And the more successful you become, the more enemies you create, often through no fault of your own. "Some people are going to hate me no matter what I do," she said, "and I've made peace with that." But here's the part that really stood out. She talked about the players who have welcomed her, the veterans who've reached out privately, the opponents who've shown her respect even while competing against her at the highest level, the women who've gone out of their way to make her feel like she belongs. "Those relationships mean more to me than any headline," she said. "Those are the people I focus on." And that perspective, that maturity, it's remarkable. Because let's be honest, if you were in Caitlin Clark's position, would you be that gracious? If you were the most famous player in your league and some of your colleagues were openly hostile toward you, would you respond with understanding? Most people wouldn't. Most people would fire back. Most people would call them out. Most people would use their platform to settle scores and make their critics look bad. But Caitlin, she's playing a different game. She's thinking long-term. Because here's what she understands that most people don't. The WNBA is a small league. There are only 12 teams. Everyone knows everyone. And the relationships you build or burn follow you for your entire career. Caitlin Clark isn't just trying to win games. She's trying to win over a league. And that takes patience. That takes grace. That takes a willingness to absorb some shots without throwing them back. Now, the conversation shifted at this point because Travis wanted to talk about something more fun, the actual basketball. He started asking Caitlin about her game, about her preparation, about what it's like to step onto court knowing that every single person in the arena and millions more watching at home is focused entirely on you. And Caitlin lit up. This is where she's most comfortable. This is where the pressure transforms into passion. This is where the weight of the world slides off her shoulders and she becomes, once again, just a basketball player. "I love the big moments," she said. "The louder the crowd, the brighter the lights. That's when I feel most alive." Travis grinned because he knows exactly what she's talking about. That feeling of standing in a stadium with 70,000 people screaming, the game on the line, everything depending on what you do next. Most people would crumble under that pressure. But for the truly elite, it's fuel. Caitlin talked about her preparation, about the hours she spends studying film, about the way she breaks down defenses and identifies weaknesses, about the mental database she's built over years of obsessive work. "By the time I step on the court, I've already played the game in my head 100 times, she said. And that level of preparation, that attention to detail, it's why she makes the impossible look easy. But then Jason asked a question that made Caitlin pause. "What's the one thing you want to accomplish that you haven't yet?" And her answer? It wasn't about scoring titles. It wasn't about MVP awards. It wasn't about individual accolades. It was about something bigger. Something that could change the entire landscape of women's sports. "I want to fill a stadium." That's what Caitlin Clark said. And for a moment, the room went quiet. Not an arena, a stadium. We're talking 40,000, 50,000, maybe 70,000 people, all gathered to watch a women's basketball game. The kind of crowd you see at a Super Bowl. The kind of atmosphere that makes your chest vibrate from a noise. That's her dream. And before you dismiss it as impossible, let me remind you of something. When Caitlin Clark was at Iowa, she regularly sold out arenas that had never been full for women's basketball. She drew TV ratings that rivaled, and sometimes exceeded, the men's tournament. She created moments that transcended sports and became cultural phenomena. If anyone can fill a stadium, it's her. Travis immediately understood the vision because he's played in those environments. He knows what it feels like to look up and see a sea of humanity, all locked in on every move you make. And he told Caitlin something that stuck with me. When that day comes, and it will come, I'll be there. That wasn't just a nice thing to say. That was a commitment. From one generational athlete to another, a recognition that what Caitlin is trying to accomplish isn't just about her. It's about opening doors. It's about proving what's possible. It's about showing every little girl watching at home that the sky isn't the limit. The sky is just the beginning. Now, here's what's fascinating about this goal. It's not actually that far-fetched. The WNBA has already experimented with stadium games. They've held events at football venues before. And with the league's current momentum, the TV deal, the rising attendance, the mainstream attention, there's a real opportunity to do something historic. And Nike knows this. You better believe Nike knows this. Imagine the marketing potential. Imagine Caitlin Clark's signature shoe dropping the same week. She becomes the first WNBA player to fill a football stadium. Imagine the commercials, the billboards, the viral moments. It will be the biggest event in women's basketball history. And it's not a question of if. It's a question of when. But Caitlin wasn't done because Jason pushed her to go deeper. Why does that matter to you? Why a stadium specifically? And her answer revealed something profound about her motivation. Because I want the next generation to see it and think it's normal. Let that sink in. She's not doing this for herself. She's not doing it for the fame or the money or the records. She's doing it so that someday a little girl will turn on the TV, see 50,000 people watching a women's basketball game, and think, that's just how it is. Not extraordinary, not groundbreaking, normal. That's the world Caitlin Clark is trying to build. And the crazy thing? She might actually do it. Travis leaned forward at this point. He had something on his mind, something that connected his experience to hers in a way that might not be immediately obvious. You know what people don't understand about being the face of something? He said. They don't understand responsibility. Caitlin nodded slowly, because she knows exactly what he's talking about. When you're the face of a movement, not just a team, but an entire movement, every decision matters. Every word matters. Every action is scrutinized and interpreted and debated endlessly. You can't just be great. You have to be perfect. And the weight of that expectation is crushing. Travis talked about his own experience, about becoming the face of the Kansas City Chiefs, about what it was like when the expectations skyrocketed and suddenly everything he did was analyzed under a microscope. There were nights I couldn't sleep, he admitted. The pressure was eating me alive. Caitlin listened intently, because this was something she rarely gets to hear. Another superstar being genuinely vulnerable about the struggles that come with success. How did you get through it? She asked. And Travis's answer was simple but powerful. I accepted that I couldn't please everyone. I decided to focus on the people who actually matter, my teammates, my family, my real fans. Everyone else? Static. Caitlin smiled. I'm getting there, she said. It's a process. And that's the thing about growth. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't just flip a switch and suddenly become immune to criticism and pressure. It takes time. It takes experience. It takes failing and learning and getting back up again. Caitlin Clark is still in that process, but she's got the right mentality, and she's got the right people around her. Now, the podcast was nearing its final stretch, and Jason wanted to address something that had been hovering over the entire conversation. The future, not just the upcoming WNBA season, not just the Nike shoe, not just the immediate next steps, the long-term future. Where do you see yourself in 10 years, he asked. And Caitlin's answer? It wasn't what anyone expected. She didn't talk about championships or records or being the greatest of all time. She didn't talk about business ventures or media empires or post-career plans. She talked about impact. I want to look back and know that I moved the needle, she said. I want to know that because of what I did, women's sports is in a better place than where I found it. Jason pressed her. What does that actually look like? Specifically, and this is where Caitlin got detailed, where she laid out a vision that goes far beyond her own career, a vision that's ambitious enough to seem almost impossible. Almost. She talked about salaries, about wanting to see WNBA players making what they truly deserve, about closing the gap between men's and women's professional sports. She talked about coverage, about wanting women's games to be broadcast in prime time, treated with the same respect and resources as their male counterparts. She talked about youth sports, about investing in programs that give young girls access to training and facilities that were never available before. And she talked about ownership. That's right. Caitlin Clark wants to own a team someday, not just play for one. Own one. And what she said about why. It's the most ambitious thing she revealed all night. Players need to be at the table, not just sitting there, running it. That's what Caitlin Clark said about ownership, and the way she said it, with absolute conviction, zero hesitation. Made it clear this isn't some vague dream she casually mentions in interviews. This is a plan, a real, concrete, already in motion plan. She explained her thinking, and when she did, you could see Travis and Jason both leaning in, genuinely impressed by the depth of her vision. Look at what's happened in every major sport, she said. The players who made the biggest long-term impact weren't just great athletes. They became owners. They became decision-makers. They shaped the leagues from the inside. She's not wrong. Michael Jordan owns the Charlotte Hornets. Magic Johnson has ownership stakes across multiple sports. Derek Jeter bought the Miami Marlins. These athletes understood something crucial. Playing the game is temporary, but owning a piece of it lasts forever. And Caitlin Clark? She's already thinking about that next level. But here's what makes her vision different from what we've seen before. She doesn't just want to own a team for the prestige or the investment return. She wants to change how teams are run. She wants to create a model that prioritizes player welfare, fan experience, and community impact in ways that current ownership structures often ignore. Too many decisions in sports are made by people who never played, she said. They don't understand what athletes go through. They don't understand the sacrifices. They see spreadsheets. We see human beings. Travis was nodding vigorously because he's lived that reality. He's seen how front office decisions affect locker rooms. He's watched teammates get traded, cut, or mistreated by owners who view players as assets rather than people. When a player becomes an owner, Travis added, everything changes. The culture changes. The priorities change. Caitlin agreed. That's exactly what the WNBA needs, she said. We need people at the top who actually understand what it means to be a woman in professional sports, who know the challenges, who've experienced the discrimination and the pay gaps and the lack of resources firsthand. And then she dropped something that made both Kelce brothers sit up straight. I've already started having conversations. Wait, she's already talking to people about this? At 22 years old? In her first year of professional basketball? Yes, that's exactly what she's doing. She didn't go into specifics, who she's talking to, what the timeline looks like, how far along these discussions are. That's clearly information she's keeping close to the chest for now. But the fact that she's even having these conversations at this stage of her career, it tells you everything about who Caitlin Clark really is. She's not waiting for the future. She's building it. Now, Jason wanted to explore this a bit more, because the idea of a current player actively pursuing ownership while still playing is genuinely unprecedented in women's sports. What's the biggest obstacle? He asked. What's standing between you and actually making this happen? Caitlin didn't hesitate. Money, obviously. She laughed, and both brothers laughed with her, because the math is simple. Buying a professional sports team, even a WNBA team, costs hundreds of millions of dollars. And while Caitlin Clark is making great money by WNBA standards, she's nowhere near that level yet. But here's where it gets interesting. She doesn't plan to do it alone. You have to build coalitions, she explained. You have to find partners who share your vision. people who have the capital and also believe in what you're trying to accomplish. She talked about studying how other athlete owners structure their deals, how they brought together investor groups, how they positioned themselves as the face and the vision while partnering with people who brought financial resources to the table. I'm learning every day, she said, reading, talking to people, building relationships. When the right opportunity comes, I'll be ready. Travis looked at her with something like admiration. You're thinking like a CEO, he said. Most players don't think like this. Caitlin smiled. I don't want to just be a player. I want to be a builder. And that distinction, player versus builder, is everything. Players have careers. Builders have legacies. Players are remembered for what they did on the court. Builders are remembered for what they created beyond it. Caitlin Clark wants both. Now, the conversation took an emotional turn at this point because Jason asked a question that cut to the heart of everything Caitlin had been talking about. What would it mean to you, personally, to own a WNBA team someday? And for the first time in the entire interview, Caitlin's voice wavered slightly, not with sadness, not with doubt, with something deeper. It would mean that everything I went through mattered, she said. All the pressure, all the criticism, all the nights when I wondered if it was worth it. It would mean that I took all of that and turned it into something real, something lasting, something that helps the women who come after me. She paused. That's all I really want, to leave things better than I found them. Travis and Jason both went quiet, because what do you say to that? What do you say to a 22-year-old who's already thinking about legacy, about impact, about leaving a lasting imprint on an entire sport? You don't say anything. You just sit there and recognize that you're in the presence of someone who's going to change the world. But the interview wasn't over yet, because Travis had one more question, one that he'd been saving for the end, one that he knew would generate headlines and spark debates and give the internet something to chew on for weeks. He looked at Caitlin with a grin. So we have to ask. He glanced at Jason. What's really going on with you and Taylor? And Caitlin's reaction? Absolutely priceless. Caitlin's face turned bright red, like genuinely flushed. The kind of reaction you can't fake. The kind that tells you whatever is coming next is going to be real. Authentic, unscripted. She laughed. A nervous, caught-off-guard laugh that made both Kelce brothers crack up. Oh, we're doing this, she said, shaking her head. We're really doing this? Travis was grinning ear to ear. We're absolutely doing this. The people need to know. And look, let's be clear about what's happening here. Travis Kelce isn't just asking about a casual celebrity friendship. He's asking about his girlfriend's relationship with another superstar. He's in a unique position to actually know what goes on behind closed doors. And he's putting Caitlin on the spot for the content, for the chaos. And honestly, it's brilliant. Caitlin took a deep breath and composed herself. Okay, fine. Here's the truth. The room got quiet. Taylor Swift is genuinely one of the nicest, most down-to-earth people I've ever met. And I don't say that because she's famous or because she's dating Travis. I say it because I've seen it firsthand. She started telling stories. Stories that have never been shared publicly before. She talked about the first time Taylor reached out to her. It wasn't through managers or PR teams. It was a direct message. Simple and genuine. Just Taylor saying she'd been watching Caitlin's games and was blown away by what she was seeing. I almost dropped my phone, Caitlin admitted. I literally thought it was a fake account. But it was real. And what followed was a friendship that nobody saw coming. Caitlin revealed that they text regularly, not about fame or business or the pressures of being in the spotlight. They talk about normal stuff, movies they've watched, books they're reading, random thoughts at 2 a.m. when neither of them can sleep. She's just a person, Caitlin said, the most famous woman on the planet, and she texts like a regular friend. That's what blows my mind. Travis jumped in with confirmation. I've seen the texts, he said. They're hilarious. Taylor sends the longest voice memos you've ever heard, like actual monologues. Caitlin burst out laughing. The voice memos. Oh my God. She'll send me a 7-minute voice memo about something completely random, and I'll just sit there listening like I'm in a podcast. This is the kind of content the internet lives for. Taylor Swift, Caitlin Clark, late-night voice memos, inside jokes, a genuine friendship between two women who dominate their respective fields. But here's what made this moment truly special. Caitlin got serious for a second. "People don't understand how isolating it can be," she said. "When you reach a certain level, you can't really talk to normal people about your problems anymore. Not because they don't care, they just can't relate. They don't know what it's like to have millions of people criticizing your every move." She looked at Travis. "That's why friendships like this matter." Taylor gets it. She's been through it at a level nobody else has. "And when I'm struggling, when things get overwhelming, she's one of the only people who truly understands." The room got heavy, because beneath all the fun and the jokes, there's a real loneliness that comes with fame. A real cost that nobody talks about. And here were three superstars, Caitlin, Travis, and Jason, having an honest conversation about what that feels like. Jason, ever the thoughtful one, asked a follow-up. "Has she given you any specific advice? Something that stuck with you?" Caitlin nodded immediately. "She told me to document everything. Not for social media, for myself. She said the years blur together when things move this fast, and you'll want to remember the moments, the good ones and the hard ones." She paused. "I started journaling because of her. Every night before bed, I write down one thing that happened that day, something I want to remember. It's been really healing, honestly." Travis smiled softly, because he knew this was genuine. This wasn't content or PR spin. This was Caitlin Clark sharing something personal because it might help someone watching who's going through their own struggles. That's the power of vulnerability. That's what makes these moments matter. Now, the podcast was winding down, but before they wrapped, Jason had one more thing he wanted to address. The signature shoe. Because they'd talked around it all episode, but they hadn't gotten into the real details. The stuff that sneakerheads and fans and everyone watching actually wanted to know. "Okay," Jason said, leaning forward. "Let's get specific. The shoe. What can you tell us?" Caitlin's eyes lit up. Because if there's one thing she's genuinely excited about, beyond basketball, beyond friendships, beyond everything, it's this shoe. "What do you want to know?" she asked. "Everything," Travis said. "Spill it." And what Caitlin revealed next. It's going to have Nike fans losing their minds. She talked about the design process, about the specific elements she personally requested, about the technology built into the shoe that's never been used in a women's basketball sneaker before. She talked about the colorways, about the ones that will drop first, about the special editions that are coming later, ones tied to moments and memories from her career that mean everything to her. She talked about the logo. Yeah, the logo. The one fans have been waiting to see for over a year. "It's done," she said. "It's been done for a while, actually. And when you finally see it, you'll understand why it took so long." Travis pressed her. "Can you describe it? Give us something." Caitlin thought for a moment. "It tells a story," she said. "It's not just my initials or some generic symbol. It represents where I came from, what I've been through, and where I'm going. Every element has meaning." She smiled. "When you see it, you'll know it's me." And then she said something that sent shockwaves through the sneaker community. Something about the launch. Something nobody was expecting. The shoe isn't just dropping. It's being revealed in a way that's never been done before. That's what Caitlin said. And the way she said it, with this knowing smile, this barely contained excitement, made it clear that whatever Nike has planned is going to be massive. Travis immediately tried to dig deeper. "What does that mean? Like a live event? A commercial? What are we talking about?" Caitlin shook her head. "I can't say too much. Nike would literally kill me. But I can tell you this. It's not going to be a normal shoe launch. It's going to be an experience. Something that brings together basketball, culture, and community in a way that's never happened for a women's athlete." She paused. "We're making history. Literally. Now, let's unpack what that could mean. Nike has done some legendary shoe launches over the years. When Michael Jordan's first signature shoe dropped, it changed the entire industry. When LeBron got his line, it was a cultural moment. When Kobe's posthumous releases happened, They were treated with reverence and emotion. But women's basketball shoe? That's never been given the same treatment. Until now, based on what Caitlin hinted at, this isn't going to be a quiet release where the shoe just appears on Nike's website one morning. This is going to be an event, something people will talk about, something that generates headlines beyond just the sports world. And here's what I think is happening. I think Nike is planning to tie the shoe launch to the start of the WNBA season. I think they're going to create a moment, maybe a special game, maybe a halftime reveal, maybe a concert or cultural event, that turns the launch into appointment viewing. I think they're going to make it impossible to ignore, because that's what Caitlin Clark deserves. And that's what Nike needs to do if they want to finally get this right after all the criticism they've faced for moving too slowly. But there's more. Caitlin revealed something else about the shoe that caught everyone off guard. "It's not just for me," she said. "I made sure of that." She explained what she meant. When she was working with Nike's design team, she pushed hard for accessibility. She wanted the shoe to be available in extended sizes, both smaller and larger than typical releases. She wanted youth sizes to be prioritized so that young girls could actually wear her shoe, not just look at it. "Too many signature shoes only come in men's sizes," she said, or they release kids' sizes as an afterthought 6 months later. I told Nike that wasn't acceptable. If a 10-year-old girl in Iowa wants to wear my shoe while she's practicing in her driveway, she should be able to get on day one. Travis nodded approvingly. "That's real," he said. "That's thinking about your impact beyond yourself." And that's exactly what it is. Caitlin Clark isn't just building a brand. She's building a movement. And every decision she makes, from the shoe design to the sizing to the launch strategy, reflects that bigger vision. Now, Jason wanted to close the interview on a meaningful note. They covered so much ground: Nike, Taylor Swift, the WNBA, ownership, pressure, legacy, and he wanted to bring it all together. "Last question," he said, "and I want you to really think about this." Caitlin leaned back, ready. 20 years from now, when people look back at your career, what do you want them to say? It's a big question. The kind of question that forces you to confront what really matters. The kind of question that separates people who are just playing a sport from people who are trying to change the world. Caitlin took her time. She looked down at her hands, then up at the ceiling, then directly at Jason. I want them to say she opened doors. She let that sit for a moment. I don't need him to say I was the greatest scorer or the most talented player. I don't need records or trophies to define my legacy. I want them to look at women's basketball, at women's sports in general, and say that things changed because of what happened during my career. Her voice got stronger. I want young girls to grow up in a world where playing professional basketball is a legitimate, respected, well-paying career path, where they don't have to fight for attention or beg for coverage or accept less because of their gender. She leaned forward. I want them to look back and say, she didn't just play the game, she changed it. The room went silent. Because what do you say after that? Travis and Jason both just sat there, taking it in, processing the weight of what they just heard, recognizing that they were talking to someone who's not just special, she's generational, and she's just getting started. The interview wrapped with hugs, laughter, and a promise to connect again soon. Travis joked that Caitlin had to come back when the shoe actually dropped so they could do a proper reveal. Jason told her she was welcome on New Heights anytime, that she'd officially earned permanent guest status. And Caitlin? She walked out of that studio the same way she walks off every basketball court. Confident, focused, ready for whatever comes next. Now, here's what I want to leave you with. This New Heights appearance wasn't just a podcast episode. It was a statement. It was Caitlin Clark showing the world exactly who she is and exactly what she's building. She's not just an athlete. She's a businesswoman, a visionary, a cultural force. She's got Nike creating unprecedented launch plans for her signature shoe. She's got Taylor Swift in her corner, sending 7-minute voice memos. She's got her eyes on team ownership before she's even finished her second professional season. And through it all, through the pressure, the criticism, the impossible expectations, she remains exactly who she's always been. A kid from Iowa who just wants to play basketball. A woman who refuses to be shrunk. A legend in the making. The shoe drops soon. The season is coming, provided everything works out with the CBA negotiations. And when Caitlin Clark steps onto that court wearing her own signature sneakers for the first time, trust me, you're going to want to be watching, because this isn't just the next chapter in her story. It's the beginning of something that's going to change everything. Happy New Year. Don't drive drunk. And stay locked in, because 2025 is about to be Caitlin Clark's world. We're all just living in it.